Welcome to Plural Acceptance Week and Endogenic Tulpa Thursday. We're the Chris's from Plural Events and kinhost.org. We'll be talking about endogenic and tulpa systems briefly in this recording, but first we want to talk about co-consciousness and cooperation in system. Some plural systems, with or without trauma, have a variety of barriers in their system. These barriers can hamper communication, hide headmates from detection, or create divides between groups of headmates that inhibit creating a larger community inside. Cooperation requires communication, and it can be any type of communication. A good way to view community is an interdependent web of cooperation. And how can you cooperate if you can't communicate? Note that communication is not about throwing words and messages at people and hoping that they stick. Communication happens when someone receives and interprets those attempts to communicate. Communication happens when we process the message, not when it's delivered. So it's a great idea to make sure you understand a message correctly, especially if you think it's weird or bad. That may require more conversation. Of course, internal cooperation and co-consciousness can get more complicated than just whether communication is happening. There are trust issues, past history, and self-awareness issues as well. For those who are not co-conscious, communication is usually the first step towards co-consciousness. It may look like leaving post-it notes or using a notebook, journaling together, or mind speak. It doesn't matter how plural systems communicate, so long as accurate communication takes place. The eventual goal is for everyone to cooperate to a degree where their shared life is more livable. We may disagree, but if we play tug of war, it's our shared life that gets ripped apart. It's also very important to respect each other inside. Individual plural system members may be oil and water to each other, very different from each other, have different values, beliefs, priorities, preferences, needs. But if we respect and trust each other, we can try to work it out. We watch plural system residents struggle with being open-minded towards their headmates, and we watch them exclude headmates from decisions, block them from having any ownership in their shared life. In the inner world, this often plays out with things like internal wars or putting headmates in jail. We find it really distressing to witness. Even though we've seen plural systems struggle with selves-acceptance inside, when the light bulb goes off and they suddenly get it, that they're really all in this together, and they gain group buy-in to living together, the tension in their system drops to a tolerable level. Suddenly, everyone is shuffling to figure out how to make it work, rather than spending so much energy on making it not work. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, of course, but the tension between system mates is not the problem anymore. Now everyone can work on problems as a team and work on the problems of working together as a team rather than rivals. This type of struggle can also be seen in external relationships. Plurals generally mirror internal dynamics to the outside world and bring external dynamics to the inside world. We call this as inside, so outside, and vice versa. And we talk about this a lot when we write and do workshops. For example, if a system is highly distrustful of external people, often it plays out in high distrust of internal people. A change to the outside dynamics becomes a change to the internal dynamics, and so on. So, if inclusivity, acceptance, open-mindedness, building trust, working things out and learning from or working with people we don't always agree with is important on the inside, guess what? It's important on the outside too. That's why we're as dedicated to inclusivity in the external world as we are in the internal world. There are Chris's who would take it very personally if we were shitty to people outside our body based on demographics or other characteristics. If they didn't earn it, they don't deserve it. So our work on internal community centers around openness and acceptance. So does our work on external community. We're highly distressed at the whole idea of creating barriers and divides in the plural community. We have terms for different ideas, different ways of expressing ourselves or thinking about ourselves. We may think we became plural for different reasons. We may think we did it by accident, subconsciously, deliberately, etc. But how we became plural is not as important to us, Chris's, as the fact that we're all plural. And we all have similar experiences in working as groups of people within a singular external body. We have similar stigma just based around being many. We are the brunt of jokes. We're not included in external dealings, and we face some very similar challenges in the world. Yeah, there's some differences too, but I think we can all share similar causes and concerns and work together to help each other out and demand space and access in the world together. So today we'd like to address systems that by their nature call into question whether you have to have trauma to be plural. We think the answer is a resounding no, and frankly, while scientific literature revolves around the issues that have insurance-funded paycheck, that's the very simple and capitalistic reason that one thing gets studied more than another. So we don't spend spoons worrying about it. It's like if a genie appeared in front of you and you said to it, "Sorry, science doesn't say that anything about genies being real," rather than making sure you get the wishes you're entitled to. There's a point where something amazing is happening right in front of you and it's not time to reality check it. Thus, the plural community inherently proves that plural systems do not have to have trauma to exist. We include endogenic and tulpa systems because they exist, and they want to be included, because they are many inside, and because we have nothing to prove to each other. We can be curious and learn from each other. So what is an endogenic system? It's simply a plural system that does not exist because of trauma. And we don't care why they know that about themselves. And they're allowed to change their mind or not as they learn more about themselves. We're far more curious about system composition, headmate gender issues, how they get along, whether they've achieved internal community, co-consciousness, communication, and so on, and whether they have tips or advice for those of us who struggle. The same goes for tulpa systems. Tulpas are headmates who are deliberately created by anyone in a plural or singular system. So someone may be singular and create a tulpa, or a tulpa may be a part of an already established plural system. Also, on occasion, someone who thought they were singular creates a tulpa and later discovers they were plural already. There's a very rich community around tulpas, or the art of tulpamancy as they call it, and we look forward to learning more about what they've discovered while creating headmates deliberately. So to us, there's absolutely no question of whether or not any people who are many fit under the plural umbrella. Everyone who experiences many fits, and we warmly welcome endogenic systems and tulpa systems and look forward to working together with them. Since the current favorite pet theory of the traumatized community, the structural dissociation theory, accounts for plurality from birth, I think there's no question whether or not that's possible. And if introjects are possible, headmates that are subconsciously inspired by external people or fictional characters, then how could it be impossible to create headmates on purpose? We just don't even question whether these things are possible. We've had enough experience in having a system and seen enough in the world to convince us these things are well within the realm of possibility. In fact, they're probably more common than people realize, and thus not really a big deal. So thank you for joining us for this little missive on endogenic and tulpa systems and internal cooperation and co-consciousness. We're the Chris's, and we hope to see you later today on the Endogenic Chat hashtag, NGenChat, ENGENCHAT, on Twitter, or in the other videos that we have coming out this week. Take great care of yourselves, and talk to y'all soon.